state tendered you what's been marked and identified as states 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19, correct?
Yes.
As you sit here today, do you know for certain? You didn't take those photos, did you?
I did not.
Do you know were you present at all when those were processed?
I was when mine was, when my practice was.
Do you know what your serial number of your weapon was?
I don't.
So can you tell me by looking at any one of those photos which one is yours for absolute certainty?
This one.
How do you know that?
Because I don't have a weapon mounted bike.
Okay.
Have what? A weapon mounted bike.
Somebody had to purport to you that that was a gun from this case then, correct?
Yes.
Because the Fort Worth Police Department follows the same policies and procedures when they take apart a weapon on every case, correct?
Yes.
Would you look at the one that you think is yours? Can you see a serial number that's visible and legible?
Yes.
Can you read it?
Baker, David Baker, 6305.
And is that yours?
I'm not sure.
With respect to State's Exhibit number 1, the DVD, it's not of the dash cam, which I think was the last words when it was offered. It's of what's purported to be your partner's body camera. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you make the DVD?
I did not.
Did you download Aaron's DVD that night?
I did not.
Bad question. Did you download Aaron's body cam that night?
I did not.
Is there a chain of custody with body cameras?
I mean, you're responsible for your own.
When the evidence goes to evidence.com, is there a trail or an audit trail of how the verification process starts from the cradle to the download to the disk?
I believe so.
Have you seen that to see if it was accurate?
I haven't.
Your Honor, with respect to State's Exhibit number 1, the defense doesn't have any issue if the state wants to conditionally offer it at this point. We don't believe the predicate's been met for its full admission unconditionally. With respect to 15, 16, and 17, and 18, we don't believe the proper predicate's been met for that. For all the other numbers mentioned, we have no further objections.
All right. Court will overrule your objections to 15, 16, 17, and 18. They are admitted. And the rest of the exhibits, now, with the exception of States 1, I believe there was a proffer or a proposal from the defense. What says the state?
Well, it's not required, and for authentication purposes, it's fair and accurate depiction of what occurred that night, and I made it very clear on the record that it was not from her body camera, but she was right there with this defendant. She is able to authenticate and say that that's a fair and accurate depiction of the approach of the house and what that video shows.
Response.
We'll stand on our objection
The
now.
objection is overruled. State's Exhibit number 1 is admitted.
May we have a running objection?
You may.
To all of our objections.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Mrs. Diener.
Permission to publish State's Exhibit 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 at this time.
Yes, I didn't wake up this morning. Is it hidden? Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
And
Okay.
Judge, just so I can make sure, State's Exhibit 1, 4 through 19, and State's Exhibit 24. Thank you, Judge. And may I publish those exhibits?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, now looking at State's Exhibit 4. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. May I have a moment, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am.
Does anyone else need one? Anyone? Okay. Are you guys good? Okay. State's Exhibit 4, we can see 1203 East Allen. Can you show me, and Your Honor, do you have a pointer at all in here?
Yes, ma'am.
May I approach the bench? May I approach the bench?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect, thanks. Okay. Can you see it if I'm out of the way here?
I have it on this computer.
Oh, okay, perfect. Well, for the jury's purposes, I'm just going to go over here to the far left-hand side. It appears to say over here, IH 35 West. Do you see that road that's running north and south?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then we can also see this road running east and west, it's Allen. Can you see that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So orient us here for the jury. 35, is that 35 a highway in Fort Worth?
Yes.
Always has traffic?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And then East Allen, is that on the east side of 35?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So now, looking at next slide, which is going to be State's Exhibit 5. What are we looking at here?
That was 1203 East Allen.
And is that the residence where Atatiana Jefferson was living?
Yes, ma'am.
State's Exhibit 5 to the left, there appears to be some sort of structure or building.
Yes.
What is that?
I believe it to be an apartment, like an old apartment that's empty. I'm not sure.
As far as what's on the 1203, that 1200 block of East Allen, are there any other houses to the left of the 1203 address?
Which left are we talking?
If you're looking at State's Exhibit 5 to the left,
No, that's Mississippi right there.
and does Mississippi run perpendicular to East Allen?
Yes.
And to the right of Atatiana's house on State's Exhibit 5, is there another house or are there lots after that?
It's just an open field.
Now looking here at State's Exhibit 6, a little better perspective for the jurors. I'm going to use my laser pointer. You were referring to some kind of an apartment building, or it's to the left of this house, this 1203. Is that what you're referring to, what I'm circling for the jury?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's just to the left of her house. Is Mississippi the road that is running perpendicular to East Allen?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, across the street from 1203, there appears to be some additional structures. What are those?
Houses?
You know who lives there?
No idea.
State's Exhibit 7. What direction are we looking?
You're
No.
looking westbound?
State's Exhibit 8. Which direction are we looking?
South.
And on State's Exhibit 8, you can see this building that's now to the right of Atatiana's house. We're now looking at the back, if you will, over top to the back. There appears to be this additional structure behind Atatiana's house. Do you know what that is?
I believe it's a garage.
Okay. And then we can see some buildings over here behind. Do you know what those are?
No idea.
State's Exhibit 9, which direction are we looking?
That would be eastbound.
And now State's Exhibit 10. Let me back up for just a second here. State's Exhibit... Let's go to State's Exhibit 7. State's Exhibit 7. Is there a house? So we have Mississippi, East Allen, and then Atatiana's house. This house right here that's on the corner, sitting on Mississippi and East Allen. Do you know the address of that particular house?
It's 1120, I believe. That's the first house we walked up to.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about that. When you were called out to the scene, do you know about what time it was?
2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning.
And can I inquire to the court how to get rid of that box? I can walk up to it, Judge.
Okay.
Do you know how to get rid of it? Okay. Thank you.
Well, it's still there.
That's okay. That's all right. Okay. All right. And so about what time did you say it was?
I believe it was like 2:30, 3 o'clock.
And I was asking you a little bit earlier about the one through the academy with the defendant. Do you see Aaron D. in the courtroom today?
I do.
And can you point to something that he is wearing? Identify him in court for me, please.
Blue tie and a gray suit.
Your Honor, let the record reflect this witness has identified the defendant.
Record
Or
will so reflect.
he also stood up prior to me finishing asking for identification.
That's correct. You
All
may
right.
be seated. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. All right, and so went to the academy together. Did you guys ever work any calls together before this October 12th date that you remember?
Nothing that sticks out.
You were only out for what, about 3 or so weeks, so would it have been many calls if you did work any?
No.
Have you seen or talked to him outside of work whenever y'all were working together?
I don't believe so.
Do you know what particular division he was assigned to?
Baker Division?
Same as you?
Yes.
All right. Would you characterize your relationship? Were you close, just coworkers? How would you describe it to us?
I keep everyone at work just coworkers.
Okay. All right. Okay, so that day, October the 12th of 2019, were you working as a patrol officer at that time?
I was.
What was your shift?
And we show up at 7:45 and we're up at 5:45.
So what time did you actually go in? About that time?
I get there around 7.
And 2 or so in the morning. Where were you right before you get called out to this scene?
At the JPS roundabout.
What does that mean, the JPS roundabout?
It's a parking lot behind JPS. It's on the north side, northeast side, and it's just a big empty parking lot.
Why are you there?
I didn't have a call. I was finishing up the call I was on, and I was eating lunch.
Were there other officers that were parked in that roundabout?
Yes.
Why do you guys as officers choose that area to either finish up a call, eat, kind of congregate?
It's just safe. You can see everyone coming up at you.
So you get a call, and explain to us how you get that call. What happens if you're sitting in your car?
I was sitting in my car. Aaron gets dispatched. Officer Dean gets dispatched. They're calling for an assist unit. I was right at the end, so I just finished up my call and I took the assist.
And how do you get notified that the defendant is even getting that call? How do you know that?
Over the radio.
Is there inside of your car a computer that also gives you that information?
Yes, ma'am.
What is that called?
MDC.
And what is MDC? Do you know what that stands for?
Don't get me wrong.
No worries, that's okay. But there's a computer in there that relays information about calls too, correct?
Yes.
What kind of information will it give you?
It gives you the call details, and then it shows you en route times and on-scene times.
Does it also show you who's responding to the call?
Yes.
Is that how you knew that this defendant was responding to the call?
That and when they called out his call sign.
On the radio?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So what was the basic general nature of the call? Do you remember?
I believe it was an open structure.
And did you get an address?
Yes.
And so you said that Dean responds. Why do you go as well then?
Every priority 2 call, dispatch has to assign 2 officers to it.
Explain to the jury what priority 2 call. What do you mean?
So priority 1 is the highest, that's lights and sirens, you're getting there as quickly as you can. Priority 2, it's still of urgency, but it's like a normal run-of-the-mill everyday call. There's nothing emergent that's happening right now that you need to get there as quickly as you can.
Are you aware that the Fort Worth Police Department has an emergency 911 and a non-emergency number?
Yes.
And so are you able to tell either over the radio or on your computer inside your car whether it was an emergency 911 or non-emergency?
We don't get that information.
And so you just get the priority information
Yes, ma'am.
and some of the details.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so what do you do when you get that call?
Zipped up my lunchbox and took off.
How far away were you from this particular address at JPS Roundabout?
A mile or 2, not very far at all.
And if the call comes in around 2:25 in the morning, do you remember about what time you arrived?
Just a couple moments later. It doesn't take very long to get there.
Did you get there to the house first, or did...
I did.
Okay. When you get there, where do you park?
I parked facing southbound on Mississippi.
And so now showing you what's already been admitted as State's Exhibit 10 here, and then State's Exhibit 11. Are you able to show us on State's Exhibit 11 where you're parked?
I believe that's my patrol car right there.
Okay. And it looks like there is only, I see any other patrol cars in State's Exhibit 11, but going back here, State's Exhibit 10, are there multiple patrol cars in State's Exhibit 10?
Yes.
Okay. And so if we're looking at State's Exhibit 10, and this is Mississippi running this direction, East Allen running east and west, are we able to see your patrol car in State's Exhibit 10?
Yes.
Okay. Can you show me, ma'am, a witness?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you show me which one your car is in State's Exhibit 10?
Which one's the? It would be that car right there, I believe.
Okay. And so you're pointing which direction?
I'm facing southbound.
Okay. And are you able to see in either State's Exhibit 10 or State's Exhibit 11 where the defendant is parked? Do we actually see his car in those exhibits?
Not to my knowledge, no, ma'am.
So looking here at State's Exhibit 11, we can't see any of the patrol cars, correct?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Can you show me, though, using this laser, where he pulled in? Did he come in front of you, behind you, or somewhere else?
It'd be like right in this area.
Okay, so kind of on that, I guess, corner or catty corner.
I believe, yes, ma'am.
Tell me the address again of that. Is that a residence or a business?
It's a residence, I believe. I believe it's 1120 something.
So when you guys get out there, you said you get there first, he parks kind of catty corner or behind you at least.
Yes, ma'am.
What do y'all do?
We get out of our patrol cars and we walk to that first house.
And it ended up being the wrong house?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you know that?
By the numbers on the front of the house. And the door was closed.
Okay. So the call is, doors open, and you walk up, the doors close, and the numbers are not matching.
Yes, ma'am.
So what do you do?
I believe we went back to the car and checked. We either checked on the MDC or we radioed out asking what the numbers were.
So when you say we, do you guys talk about that and you both do it? You just kind of know to do it? How does that work?
I can't remember if we talked about it, but I mean, it's just commonplace.
Do you remember whether or not you both went to your separate patrol cars to check, or?
No, ma'am, I don't.
Don't remember. All right. Regardless, you figure out wrong house.
Yes, ma'am.
So where do you go?
We walk across the crosswalk here and then up, like catty corner to corner across the street.
All right, so let's go over State's Exhibit 9. And Mayor, first what is it?
Yes, ma'am.
You show me the route that you take from that address that was wrong.
I believe that we walked like right through this way, just like diagonally across.
And when you go diagonally across, so you would have been passing just right in front of this building.
Yes.
Once you get over here to the street, and then some go in this direction before you approach her house.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Do you have your flashlights out?
I don't recall at that time.
Do you remember whether it was a pretty lit area or a dark area?
It's darker in that area.
And when you go to approach the house, show you, leave. Let's go back for just a second. When you approach the house in State's Exhibit 5, you said you kind of walked in front of it. Did you notice whether or not there was a fence between those two buildings
No,
that night?
no, ma'am.
So you go up to the front door of State's Exhibit 5, that house, and what do you do?
Walking up, you can see that the front porch light was on, and that the white door on the inside was open on both sides. And then we just looked.
When you first got out and went to that wrong house, do you remember whether or not you had unholstered your gun?
I had not.
When you went back and confirmed the address before you started walking across the street, once you knew which address it was, did you unholster your gun?
No, ma'am.
At what point did you unholster your gun, if at all, when you were walking up to Atatiana's house?
We didn't. I didn't.
Okay. When I say unholster, tell us what that means.
It means breaking the security and bringing it all the way out. Bringing your gun all the way out.
Do you remember if you ever took your gun out and unholstered it throughout the entire call?
Through the entire call, I believe that I did. When we were clearing the backyard, and then I believe I had it out in the house until we got into the room. I'm not for certain.
That's okay. And when you say the term clearing, what does that mean to you?
Just making sure that there are no other occupants, other threats in the house.
Why do you unholster or take your gun out when you are clearing an area?
In case you're met with a threat.
When you have your gun out, do you have your finger on the trigger?
No.
Why not?
Officer safety.
Is that something that you were trained in the academy about?
Yes, trigger discipline.
So when you are clearing areas, whether that be a house, a field, a car, you have your gun out, pointed in front of you, I'm assuming?
You have it down in the stool position, or you can have it pointed depending on what you're doing.
When you have it down or pointed, do you have your gun on the trigger? Do you have your finger on the trigger?
No.
Okay. So you approach the front, you said the front and the side door, the doors were open, and we can actually see, they're calling a storm door, kind of storm or screen door. Did those appear to be closed?
Those were.
So when you are driving out to 1203 East Allen and hearing that it's an open structure, what thoughts are in your mind, if any?
I honestly can't tell you what I was thinking that day. Other open structures, you go to burglary, thinking what you're going to encounter on the call.
Are you thinking to yourself, east side, high crime area? Or are you just thinking, I just got done eating and I'm going to go to this call?
I just got done eating and going to this call.
Okay, all right. You show up, and when you're walking up to the house and you see those two doors, the front and the side door that are open, storm door shut, what are you thinking?
When I see the inside, or
Just when you're walking up and you see those doors open.
that it's odd for it to be open that time of night.
And do you and the defendant talk about anything as you're walking up?
I don't remember if we did.
And so you look inside, what do you see?
The cabinets are standing wide open. Things just thrown about. It looked like the house had been burglarized from the living room, kitchen area.
I want to show you a couple other exhibits that have been offered and admitted. State's Exhibit 12. Are we able to see on State's Exhibit 12 this shoulder-worn body camera that is on Officer Dean at that time? Okay. And then there's also, can I have the lights, or I can, thank you. You can see it a little better now. On State's Exhibit 12, there is this black device that's on his chest. What is that?
It's a handheld mic.
A
A handheld mic for your radio.
Now looking at State's Exhibit 13, will you take me through and explain what all this is? So let's start on the far left-hand side for the jury. What is this right here?
That's his gun, Glock 17.
And what is this?
Pepper spray.
So we have the gun, Glock 17 for purposes of the record, and then immediately to the right, there's a leather object holding something, and you said that's what?
Pepper spray.
Okay, and then we have some sort of other black device that's to the right of the pepper spray. What's that?
That's the battery box for the camera.
And then to the right of the battery box for the camera is what?
A cat T tourniquet.
I'm sorry, what?
A cat T tourniquet.
And then you mentioned an Israeli bandage, which was a tourniquet, and now you said cat T?
Yes.
What, are those different things?
Yes. This one has Velcro and like a torque kind of on it. The other one is like an ace bandage, and it has wings on it. So you'll just wrap it as tight as you can, and then you crank the wing once you get it on.
Okay, all right. And then to the right of this tourniquet, we have this, looks like it's one thing that's holding maybe two slots, with some sort of leather.
It's a mag pouch
Okay, what's a mag pouch?
for your extra magazines.
And then to the right of that, what is this that has some
Taser.
yellow?
That's the taser.
I'm sorry, okay. Now, looking at the back of State's Exhibit 14, which is the back of that duty belt, let's start again to the left. What's this right here?
That's the baton.
What's the purpose of a baton?
It's a use of force weapon.
You guys are issued other objects besides a gun that are less deadly, is that right?
Yes, it's less lethal.
I'm sorry?
Less lethal
So the taser, baton, and then we have the gun.
and pepper spray.
And the pepper spray, okay. And then to the right of the baton is what?
Radio.
Okay, and then to the right of the radio is what?
That appears to be his flashlight.
And then there appears to be some small leather.
It's called a bell keeper.
Okay.
Keeps your belt up.
Okay, a lot of stuff on the belt, right?
Yes.
All right, and then to the right of the belt keeper, there's two pouches. What is that?
Handcuff case.
I'm sorry?
Handcuff case.
Okay. And then to the right, we can see the back of his gun. Is that right?
Yes.
All right. Now, State's Exhibit 15, defendant's gun. And I want to compare that to State's Exhibit 19, your gun. Can you tell me what additional items are on defendant's gun, State's Exhibit 15, that are not on yours?
He's got a weapon-mounted string light.
So let's start with, you said Glock 17. Is that the type of gun this is?
Yes.
Is that the type of gun that you have?
Yes.
Is that the type of gun that you're wearing on your hip right now?
Yes.
And how many, for those of us that are not as proficient in firearms, guns have magazines that hold unfired bullets or cartridges, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know how many the Glock 17 magazine holds?
17.
Is yours fully loaded right now?
Yes, ma'am.
You have one in a chamber.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that how y'all are trained to keep your weapon?
Yes, ma'am.
So you said on State's Exhibit 15, there's this additional, what did you call it?
A weapon-mounted light.
Weapon-mounted light. What is the purpose of having a weapon-mounted light?
So you don't have to tie up your other hand with a flashlight.
But you don't have one.
No,
Why not?
I'm cheap.
Okay. Are they expensive?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the holster that you have on your person, may I approach the witness?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you stand up for me, please? Just real quickly. The holster that your Glock 17 fits in, is that issued by the Fort Worth Police Department?
Yes, ma'am.
So when you start as a patrol officer, or really any officer, you're going to be given the gun and the holster.
You're giving me your entire info. Yes, ma'am.
All of this, okay. Now, what about if you've got that light that's affixed, that's going to be too big for the holster?
Yes, ma'am. So it is a holster.
Do you get that issued from the Fort Worth Police Department?
I'm not sure. I haven't gone through those.
Okay, you don't have one, so you don't need to do that. Okay, so as far as department issued, that is what is given to you guys.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, MC. All right. So you said that you guys were approaching the house, and when you look inside, you said it looked, I don't want to use different words than you. You tell me the words that you used to describe this house.
It looked like it had just been burglarized.
Okay, so State's Exhibit 24, we're walking up to 1203 East Allen. And now at this point, there's crime scene tape there. That was not there.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And you can see now that the storm door is a bit open. Obviously, other people have been in and out of this house. Was that door completely flush and closed?
Yes, ma'am. As I recall.
Now, I see, if you can see it, there's a little yellow, what appears to be a cord. Do you see that?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that there that night?
I believe so. I don't know for sure though.
Okay. Now, continuing on, State's Exhibit 25. You said it was, I guess, messy or tossed. It appeared to have been burglarized. Is that
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
And so is there a difference between a messy house and a ransacked or burglarized house?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us the difference in your experience.
In my experience, a messy house is gonna be what we all know is mess, you know, things thrown everywhere. A burglarized house is gonna have the open drawers where it looks like it has just been methodically gone through. There's gonna be things in places that there shouldn't be, you know.
And State's Exhibit 26, we can see these, looks like to me, these 1, 2, maybe 3 cabinets, doors that are open.
Yes, ma'am.
Or so, okay. And then State's Exhibit 27, now we're just looking back towards the front of Atatiana's house. Now you can kind of see that front door and that side door a little better, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And so you described the inside of her living room as being ransacked, or at least looked like it had been burglarized, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have any kids?
I don't.
Okay, I don't either. Obviously you know now that there was an 8-year-old that was living there.
Yes, ma'am.
Right, okay. Okay, so regardless, you didn't know that then, you look in the front, what do you see?
And we saw the cabinets open, there were things thrown out of the drawers. It looked like someone had methodically gone through that house looking for something.
Did it look like that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then, do you hear anything inside?
No, ma'am, not that I recall.
Are the lights on or off inside of the house?
In the main living room, they were on. So in this part, they were on.
So State's Exhibit 26, the living room, the lights are on.
Down that hallway, there's a light on that wasn't on during the time.
Okay, that was off.
Yes,
All right. So you said you don't remember hearing anything. After looking through the front door, where do y'all go?
We went around the side of the house. When we did that, we were clearing the cars just to make sure that there was no one in the cars ready to escape or ambush us as we walked up.
Do you remember when you were given the call detail information? Were you given any information about the cars?
I don't remember the call screen. If you have it, I can read it.
Sure, absolutely. And Mayor, first witness?
Yes, ma'am.
State's Exhibit 95. Let me give you an opportunity to look at that.
So this is a little different than what we're actually seeing in our car. It's got, you know, all of the other officers that were involved, that wasn't on our call screen, so it would just be like,
And so just for purposes of the record, on State Exhibit 95, there are multiple pages, correct? And you just made a gesture at the top of the second page that the information you guys are given is more just kind of at the top, I would say maybe the top third, maybe top fourth of that page.
yes, it would be like 30. Until where it says paper 310 dispatch.
So the information that you're really focusing in on is going to be the
First couple lines.
first couple lines. Okay. And so by looking at State's Exhibit, you're fine. Do you need a cough drop?
No,
You got it. Fine. Okay. By looking at State's Exhibit 5, those first few lines, does that refresh your memory about what exact information you would have been given?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So were you given information about the cars of the people that lived there?
Yes, ma'am.
Make or model or just color?
Just color.
Okay. And so would that be information that you would have seen whenever you go to approach and you get inside or look inside the house in State's Exhibit 26?
Can you ask that? I'm sorry.
Sure, that's okay. Do you need some water?
Judge, we approach.
Yes, hang on.